talking about like identity pieces and stuff like that. So in this workshop, it was like literally like all over the place on like identity. Identity was like the main piece. When I say identity, I mean like who you choose, who you're born as, and who you change as. That's even dangerous to say. So I was like amongst like 4 people, like the only black person, but it wasn't about, you know, like color. It was more about like man and woman. So I was speaking on my identity as a man, but then like other people were like, well, I don't feel like that's comfortable, or like we should talk about you being a man. I was like wondering, like, you know, I'm talking about me being a father and a man in the community, and it was like, you know, maybe you shouldn't talk about that. But I was like, wow, that was really emotional for me, because the people who said this, to be perfectly honest, were not like heterosexual. So I was like, that was very interesting for me. Very interesting. I never knew that was like the piece. But I actually felt the pain that was coming from that, because, you know, it's a lot of people who are being oppressed for who they choose to be and who you are. Just like how I am. You know, I'm being oppressed as a black man in this world, and there was other people who are being oppressed. So I was like, you know what, it's touchy, so let's go off of it. So I was very like emotional about that. Then it was this one workshop, Kafre, if you remember. So me and Kafre attended this one workshop where this woman was talking about like what should you do if police stop you.
Right.
And I was like, okay, let's check out this workshop. So she was like asking us basic questions. What do you do if the police stop? And it was like remain silent. And it was like, then I asked her, like, who is this for? Like, where is this coming from? Like, what's the direction? And she was like, you know what, this is general stuff. What do you do, police? So I was like, this is what you do if you're stopped by the police, not if I'm stopped by the police. And she was like, well, yeah, and I just left. Because it wasn't for certain communities, you know? Me being black, there's no get out the car and be quiet. You get your ass whooped, to be perfectly honest. It's part of my French, but that's generally what happened. So it was very like, I felt very disrespected. So that affected me emotionally, to be honest. So that's me.
Alright, we'll move to Sabrina. What during kind of the workshop made you feel emotional?
What made me feel emotional? Well, I thought I was pretty aware of, you know, all the issues, stuff like that, but going to a lot of the workshops, especially Will's, I learned like a lot, and it really opened my eyes on like how really like how society functions and how these communities really function. It surprised me. It really did surprise me, and I really like it. Really made me like. It just gave me like a revelation or something like that. It was just like a wow experience for me. Also, what really made me emotional was that like before YEA, I really didn't know much about environmental justice, environmental activism, nothing like social justice. I knew nothing about it, and it was just like something new to me. It was like a foreign language. And then when I went to these workshops and panels, I seen so many people that are like my age too. Around my age, and it's like I was like, wow, like, you know, I'm not the only one, or we're not the only ones. There's a lot of other people out there that fight for their own things, that, you know, try to work for their own cause. I really liked that. That made me smile a lot.
Alright, switching to Bioneers, what HB or Mariah like to say what made them feel emotional?
Me personally, it was like, let's see. I like learning from people younger than me, and I'm only 18, so I like learning stuff from my kids in middle school to see where they're at now, and like middle school, elementary, and it's really interesting to me because some kids, like, they know a lot more, like they're more in tune with environmental justice, because like Sabrina said, I'm new to this too. Before I went to YEA, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't care about environmental justice, but now I do. But speaking on that. I didn't know what fracking was, and I don't remember really, but this, the girl, I forgot her name. I feel bad now. I forgot her name. She explained to me what it was. I was like, wow.
How old was she?
I think, I'll say from 13 to 15. Yeah. When I was 14, 15, all I was worried about was like, what's going on? What's coming on TV, this, and the third. And it was really interesting to me to see what they had to say and learn from them. That's what really, like, it's emotional.
Alright, I'll go. I felt a lot of emotions throughout the course of the just being my time in Pittsburgh, whether it was in the conference or not. one particular time was probably during the state breakouts that Will referred to. You know, everybody from Michigan. In that particular instance, me and my friend Kamal were actually the only people of color within the thing. And so yeah, it was definitely, you know, a time where it was like, what's happening in Detroit? Because everybody there was outside of Detroit. Everybody there was a college student, and they made it seem like they would like. I remember it was one person talking about how they have solar streetlights on their campus in Highland Park, and it's like, you're not gonna live on the campus forever. What, you know, that's not you know, activism. That's not really, you know, in the broader range of things. It's like when they referred back to us, because they you know, called it an open workshop, or so to speak. And you know, when it was referred to me or come on, it's like, well, what's happening, you know, over there? It's like that was a horror story. Like, tell us, you know, what's going on there. And it really made me feel like they thought, you know, their notion of what I knew, and they made me feel like I was you know, I was foreign. Like, you know, I wasn't, you know, of that. I felt like, yeah, I probably was, you know, to them. But it made me feel emotional because I feel like at the end of the day, they didn't accept my position, and they could never understand that. And I feel like if you call yourself an activist, then you should, you know, be active and not, you know, be active, you know, not be, you know, lenient towards things like that. So I was emotional during that. But, you know, a greater emotion, you know, a happy emotion, was probably when we had the cipher. Man, it was beautiful. It was we were all in the lobby, and this is an event with maybe about 10% of the people of color, and it was like a huge, large concentration, like everybody, you know, and we were just rapping. And, we had about maybe an hour, I think, just rapping. You know, it was beautiful. It was beautiful to me because it was like it was like, you know, we was calm, we was chill. And we weren't preaching to each other. It was just, you know, I acknowledge you as my brother or my sister, and you know, I want to kick it with you. So that was cool, you know, because I wasn't expecting. I was coming in with a mindset like, you know, I don't think, you know, really none of my people are gonna be here, but I ended up making a lot of bonds and a lot of relationships through that, and I'm very grateful for the experience. So next,
In terms of, I just want to say something about the cipher.
oh yeah,
and then we'll go to that.
Go ahead. In terms of that cipher, just a few notes. I was there for a little bit of it. There was this guy from Oakland who carried around this little stereo thing, and he just put on the beats, and it had to be over 100 people, you know, that gathered in that hallway lobby. We hooked up. We was really kicking it pretty tough with the Dream Defenders from Florida. They had some folks that were rapping from that. And the other thing I'll say in the cipher was, I think, you know, like Kafre said, I think that with our people, I think that they had certain interactions and certain expectations of that gathering. But I noticed on certain people's face almost what I would call like a look of ecstasy. Like, I'm not even talking about the people that were rapping. It was just people were just like magnetic, attracted to the moment, and attracted to the energy, attracted to the you know, just like, whoa, you know, I found home, or it was, you know, I just was looking at, you know, not even the inner circle, but just a